Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to High Vibin' It, the place where Miss Lindsay Robinson, awesome hypnotherapist, and myself, Kelsey Aida, I never know what to call myself, personal empowerment coach and author. We are here every week to help you live your best life, to inspire you, to empower you, and maybe just make you giggle on a Monday. And today we have some really I think beneficial perspectives that are going to totally just make your life that much more awesome and really give you permission to go for what you want. But first, I want to kind of go into the backstory of how this download came to me. So, I've been working on this book forever called Why the Law of Attraction Works for Some People, but Not You. And it's basically like a resistance untangling guide. And it tells you like all these ways you can be carrying resistance and how to work through it so you can master that and manifest whatever you want. Because let's be honest, there's so many manifestation techniques out there that are being taught and they're fun and they're cool and they work, but they don't work when you have resistance, right? So that was my whole thing about the book. Anyway, I have a crazy relationship with this book where I was like writing it and so inspired. And then I was like over it. And I was like, I'm not even going to publish this. This is stupid. And then I rewrote the whole thing. And then I was like, no, never mind. I don't want to do it anymore. And I keep going back and forth. So today, my relationship with the book was actually, I think I want to write it again. And I wrote like two chapters. I probably sat down and wrote like 5,000 words. And one of the huge major downloads that came to me as I was writing was basically along the lines of like, who are you to deny yourself and the world what you want? Because I think there's this notion, well, I know there's this notion that, or this limiting belief that people have where they're like, I'm not worthy of what I want. Who am I to ask for what I want? Who am I to get what I want? But I want to introduce this new perspective of like, who are you to not go for what you want? Because what you want is also going to be in alignment with what other people want, with what the universe wants. And there's a greater plan here at large. And by you not following your heart and not following your desires and not consciously pursuing them, you're actually doing the world a disservice and slowing down the creation process altogether for yourself, for other people, and for the universe. So there's a bunch of examples I wanted to go into because as soon as I realized this, a lot of examples were coming in. But first, I want to hand it over to Lindsay because you've been sitting here so quietly and patiently while I told my story. What do you think about this perspective?
Oh, what do I think about this perspective? Um, I have a lot of thoughts on it. Um, my brain is barely kicking into gear because it's still early for me, but and I had a big day already. Let me think. So I like it. I like this idea. I like the idea that instead of thinking that you are selfish or egotistical or whatever for going towards your goals or for wanting big things for yourself. I know that it's a big thing I see with clients, you probably do too, where they're just like that part of their mind or their being is just resistant to it because who am I to do this? I've seen other people do this, but why should I be able to do this? And I always introduce it as like, well, why can't you? What is it? Why can't you? And let's get into what it is that's stopping you. So I do like this take, and I think that it does serve to add that different perspective, pepper in a different point of view of if I do this thing. Okay, so us, for example, I'm going to use my experience where if I listen to the voice in my head that in 2012, 2011, that was like, but you got to get a regular job because that's too risky, too scary, and you have a new baby. If I would have listened to that and been like, well, I know other people have been successful in this, but who am I to do that? Then there would be hundreds of people that would not have benefited from my services. There would be many, many people, I mean, maybe thousands, people listening to the podcast, people getting my courses, people joining the membership, clients one on one would never have known any of what they know and would never have benefited from it. So I think that and Kelsey, you can probably mirror that experience as well. If we listened to the voice that said, "Who are you to do this?" we would be we and everyone who has ever benefited from us would be in a completely different spot. And so I like the idea, and I also want to partner it with the idea that like it all works in divine timing and everything happens the way it's supposed to, because I truly believe that at the end of the day, if you want something big for yourself but never make it happen, it doesn't mean necessarily that it was never meant to happen. It just meant that you listened to the voice that told you you couldn't.
Or sometimes I feel like it just doesn't look how you think it's supposed to look.
Correct.
What's
Yeah.
important and what always has to manifest no matter what, no matter what, no matter what, is your genuine desire.
Mhm.
So I always like try to make the distinction between like a quote unquote what I call surface desire versus a quote unquote what I call genuine desire. So my definition of a surface desire would be like the thing that you think you want. Like, oh, I want to manifest a raise, I want to manifest a car, I want to manifest a relationship. But the genuine desire is why you want to manifest
Yeah,
that
yeah. The
thing.
feeling.
Yeah, and the feeling you're really going for, the feeling that you're after, the thing that you don't think you can feel or experience until you have what you think you want, right?
Mhm.
So, your genuine desires, they always have to happen. They always have to come true. It's only a matter of time. And are you helping the universe to help you create that, or are you not helping
Well,
the
and
universe?
it's important to remember too, anytime you have a desire, if you have a desire in your brain, it's already created. It's already there. It's waiting in the wings, as they say. So the universe wants it, you want it, it's already there. You just have to, at that point, it becomes the work to match with it. And maybe right now I'm not matching with my Scottish, but I'm in the process of matching with it. I'm gonna talk about it every episode because I feel like
Explain
it
to
just
people who don't understand your terminology of Scottish, who have not been listening for a long time, so they can understand what you're talking about.
so if you haven't been listening and you don't know what my Scottish is, welcome to my world. My Scottish is my Scottish cottage, and I created this word. I don't know how it's not already a word. It
It's a great
probably
word.
it might be a word. But I just decided to smush it into one word because ever since I was in high school, middle school, my dad has always been obsessed with Scotland, because we are Scottish, and so he has always known that felt that we are Scottish, and so I've always grown up with this idea of like, oh, this beautiful country over in the UK, and I went there a couple times, fell in love with it, and decided that I'm going to die in Scotland. Like that's where I'm going to end up for the end of my life, and I'm going to have a B&B, and my husband's going to have a pub, and it's going to be great. So the first step is getting my Scottish cottage in the UK. Probably gonna talk about it every day, but the whole point is right now, if you don't have the thing that you want, it's because you're in the process of matching with it. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean that you're not making progress. It simply means that it is a process, and that's where we're all at. That's where we're all at. So if you ever have a moment where you hear the voice that's like, who am I to do this? If I deserved it, then why don't I have it? Why is it taking longer than I expected? I must not be worthy of it. You better check yourself.
Right. If you're saying I don't have it and that means I'm not worthy of it, because if I was worthy of it, I would already have it, that's like some hardcore wrong thinking.
Yes.
And you can
That's
tell that it's
hardcore wrong.
wrong because it feels so wrong when you think it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the pain and the discord that you feel when you have that thought is literally like God or your higher self being like, dude, what are you talking about? That is
Mhm.
not even remotely true in the slightest.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
no, that's not the truth of the situation here. You're just making it mean that. And that's causing you a lot of pain and suffering. So, if we didn't make it mean that you weren't worthy and there were other options available to you, like, okay, perhaps it's just, coming together in perfect timing. Maybe there's some
Yeah.
puzzle pieces still missing that the universe is working on for me on my behalf. There's a million different things that can be happening behind the scenes that you don't know about and you don't need to know about, because one day you'll have that thing and you'll be super happy and grateful that you learned on our podcast that you didn't have to make it mean that you were unworthy just because you didn't have it yet.
And how many things, I feel like I say this in every episode, but it's so important. How many things can you look back and say, I'm so glad that didn't work out the way I thought I wanted it, right? That's all that's happening when you're having those moments of like, but it's not happening the way I think it is. It's not happening the way that it makes sense to me. Um, yeah, it's because it's working out better. Probably. I mean, 99% of the time, that's been my experience is I'll look back and be like, woo, I dodged a bullet there. I thought I wanted that so bad. I definitely just the universe waited for me to change my mind. And then I was like, see, told you.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So I want to circle back around and dive into examples of what I mean by your desire is connected with others' desires. So Lindsay gave the
Mm-hmm.
example of her work, right? So I could give something similar, like the books that I want to write, especially this book that we're talking about, why the law of attraction works for some people but not you. That's probably a question in many people's heads. Why is
Yeah.
the law of attraction working for some people but not me? I want answers. I want insight. I want to release these blockages. And that desire manifests also and connects with my desire to write the book, right? So my desire to write the book, someone else's desire to read the book. So that's
Yeah.
like an example of a perfect match. Or another example, and this is what I gave
Is
on my, go ahead.
is my B&B. How many people can I help with my B&B and my husband's pub?
Right. How many
All my
people want to
future
stay in your
patrons.
cute B&B that only you can make cute in only your Lindsay way? It
That's
has to
right.
be born and birthed through you because only you can make it the way that you're going to make it. You
Oh,
know,
that's so powerful for so many people. I felt the weight of what you just said hit so many people listening in the future.
well, someone else can do something similar, but
Right.
everyone's going to have their own specific flavor, right? Their
Exactly.
flavor of creation. And only
Mhm.
you can create your flavor, which is part of the reason why I feel so attached to my book because every time I wanted to give it up, I was like, oh, someone could probably write this book. But then I'm just like,
Mhm.
nobody can write it like me,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? So yeah, another empowering just knowing for you is like your creation can only be created by and through you in your specific flavor if you allow that. Otherwise,
Mhm.
someone else might do something similar, but it's not going to be the same.
Not gonna be the same, and nobody's
Mm-mm.
gonna match with it as well as the people who will match perfectly with whatever it is you're providing and you're bringing to the world. So great to say that.
Hmm. And I was going to say before that, the example, another example that I gave on my Instagram story this morning when the download came to me was imagine if your parents did not allow their desire to make love to each other or have sex with each other the very time that you were conceived. You would not exist. If your parents denied their desire in this example, you would potentially not exist, or at least you wouldn't have come through them with your soul contracts that you wanted to have
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
family and these lessons and yada yada. So, kind of an extreme example, but it just goes to
You
show
just made
like,
everyone picture their parents having sex.
you're
That's
welcome.
what you did, Kelsey.
We're just expanding your tolerance for being uncomfortable,
That's
which is a
right.
great life skill to have.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, not to make it weird or anything, but I just thought that was a great example. It was one of the first ones that came to me. I was like,
It is one of the
wow,
most
their
basic primal.
desire synced up with
Mhm.
my desire. I wanted to come into the world through them, and they
Yeah.
let it happen by following their heart and other parts of their bodies.
And their
So,
bodies. It is such a basic, and I say this in like this is a foundational example because everyone who is everyone is alive and they're, they can relate to this example, but other
right.
people may not have started businesses, they may not have written books, they may not have done the things that we're talking about necessarily, but everyone's been born, and so it is a nice example in that way because you can look back and be like, oh yeah, well, that's true, my parents did have to get down for me to be born.
Or even if you were conceived in a petri dish, someone had to want to
Yeah, the
have a
desire was
child
still there.
or create you, or even if you were an accident and
Adopted.
you were
What if your
adopted
parents
still.
denied their desire to adopt? And
Mhm.
then, if you were adopted into a family, like these are all very, very like profound examples of following your desire for the greater good of you and everyone involved.
Yeah, and let's like explore some other examples. Maybe they don't have to be as profound, but like another one that came to me. Oh, sorry, Jeff's leaving the garage.
It
I'm always
happens.
like, dude, can you not come in and out of the garage while we're recording, please? Because it's like super loud. Anyway, moving on from that distraction. So I was saying another example that came to me this morning was like, imagine you want to take a trip to the Philippines. There are people and businesses in the Philippines who want to make more money, expand their business, grow their
Mhm.
hospitality. Like, you're supporting the business of the airline, you're supporting the local economy, you're supporting local people. Like, their desire and your desire are matching up. So who are you to say, oh, I shouldn't go on that trip? Like, maybe.
Why the Philippines? You going to the Philippines? I
No,
mean, you go to Mexico so much, but you
it's just a
randomly
random
said
example
Philippines.
that came to me. Well, I was trying to
Somebody
think maybe like more third world than Mexico. That's probably why.
like, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have heard really great things about travel to the Philippines. Like, you can get so much for because the exchange rate is so good. Anyway, yes, I love that. I love that example. You know what I really wanted, you know me, and I love a diversion. I love to go off on tangents, but I think that this either could be another full episode or we can maybe talk about it a little bit here, which is like you're talking about, yeah, it's the greater good of all involved, and don't ignore your desires. But I really want to get into and hear your take specifically on, you know, serial killers. What if they
I
did?
knew you were
You
gonna
knew I
bring
was
that
gonna
up.
say that.
I was waiting. I was gonna
You
be
knew I was
like,
gonna say that.
murders. You
Or
want to talk about
or
murders? We can talk about
yeah,
murders
I mean,
because here's why it's still true.
yeah.
Because it goes back to the genuine desire part. So a
Mm.
murderer's surface desire might be to murder everyone in their school, but why do they want
What
to do
school?
that?
Come on, my kids are
Okay,
at school
sorry.
right
I was
now.
just thinking of the
Kelsey,
going postal scenario. So let's say
what's the post
someone
office?
wants to shoot a lot of people in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's probably not like the desire of all the people in the room who are there that day, but their genuine desire is probably something along the lines of wanting to feel connection. And they think the best way to do that is to inflict pain on others because they're in so much pain. And they think if I cause pain to other people, then they'll finally get me. They'll finally be on my same level. They'll finally understand me. They will feel what I'm feeling. People who inflict
Mm.
pain, that's like the agenda behind it. So, with that being the genuine desire of connection, of course, the universe wants you to have connection. Maybe not like that, but here's the great thing about this conscious conversation. If murderers would take 5 seconds to figure out what they're actually after, they wouldn't have to go around murdering people to get it.
Boom.
If you were a conscious person who was about to murder someone, but your consciousness saved you because you realized, oh, I'm really just after connection. I really just want to feel understood. There are 1,000,000,000 easier, faster, better, more efficient ways to get that where you don't have to hurt yourself or someone else.
Well, and of course, I'm always going to interject at this point and say, of course, every situation is different. There could be chemical imbalances, people going crazy, people that just can't be reached on that level. But
Right.
I do understand what you're saying, and I also want to add on, um, uh, from the higher perspective, right? What looks bad and negative to us is always for the greater good, and it's stupid and it sucks sometimes because we are still in human bodies and we still feel pain and sadness, and God forbid if anything ever happened to my family members, I don't know what I would do. But I can't help but just like see the higher perspective of like no matter what it looks like on our very small 3D visuals, it's always for the greater good because some karmic tapestry is being woven. Whether or not you believe in karma, maybe that's a bad word, but some kind of balance is occurring.
Well,
Some
and I have
Go
a
ahead.
real life example to illustrate what you're saying.
Tell me, tell me.
So, George Floyd, as soon as he was murdered by that cop, I was able to connect with him directly because I have been able to connect with dead people here and there. And
Why didn't you
he
ever tell me this? You connected with George Floyd
I
and you
think I
never
did
told
tell
me?
you this. I think I've
Girl.
talked about this once on the show. Anyway, so basically, he told me that that was like in his soul contract to go out that way because he wanted to be like the last straw on the camel's back and really like
Yeah.
revamp the revolution. So a part of him chose that.
Yeah.
Even though obviously on a human level nobody wants to be murdered,
Right, right.
he probably didn't see it coming. He didn't choose that consciously, but a part of his soul was like, this is how I want to go out. This is how I want to serve humanity. I'm going to be the martyr. And it has purpose and meaning to it.
Yeah. I think that no matter in every situation, I will say this as a blanket statement and I really will stand by it. This is the hill I will die on. That when we come, this is the one.
Speaking of death.
In my Scottage, this is the hill I'll die on. That no matter what your situation is, you came here on purpose and you came here with a purpose, and we genuinely know, generally not genuinely, know like how we're coming into this world and how we're going to go out, generally speaking. So I think that in every situation, how it looks to us on a base level is nothing like what's happening in the broader scale, in the bigger picture. And I think that the evidence that we've seen since his passing is overwhelmingly in favor of, yeah, this was supposed to happen for a reason, because look at where we are compared to where we were. You know what I mean? And I think it's only getting more profound and hopefully getting better in the right direction. But I 100% agree. And I'm sorry for anyone that doesn't agree, but I definitely feel like that's real for
I
sure.
mean, y'all can contact him and ask him yourself if you would like, but I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, I know that I came here with this purpose, and I know that my soul knows how I'm going to go out, and I know. And here's another thing, not to go too far into the dead people thing, but another thing that tells me that this, on some level, we know. Okay, Kobe, right? I was like super torn up about Kobe. He I read this article that said him and his wife uh, would never take the helicopter together because she was deathly afraid of like both of them dying in a helicopter, and she wouldn't go in the helicopter with him at the same time. And he freaking dies in a helicopter crash. Like, I feel on some level, either she had a premonition or her soul knew that that's what was going to happen. And so she prevented herself from being, not particularly that day, but it was just a general rule that she wouldn't go with him. I just think it's a coinky dink, that's for darn sure. But
Yeah, and hopefully we're not coming off as like these uncompassionate people who are just like,
no,
oh yeah, that's a part of the plan. Because like really it's horrible
that
things
is a
that
part of the
happen to
plan.
us.
Let's be clear.
But I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And from a higher perspective, it doesn't happen in vain. And
Yeah, yeah.
parts of us choose it. As bold
Mhm.
of a statement as it is, I really do believe that to be true, even though my human self is like, ew, why would I
Mhm.
choose something horrible to happen to me? It's like,
Totally.
okay, there's valid reasons for doing so.
And in all of these situations, particularly when I thought about George Floyd's daughter, or I thought about Kobe's kids, or the mother, as a mother, losing your child, like, don't get me wrong, I was messed up. As messed up probably as a human that had no idea who these people were, and didn't know them personally could be. It's really hard to go through as somebody witnessing it. It's really hard to go through as somebody who's affected by it. It's hard to go through as the soul who has to now be, and whatever they do in the ethers that I feel like I know about, but we're not going to go into that today. And it's hard on everybody who's human, but we have to trust that on the higher perspective, it's all working out, because it is. It's all working out. It's all working out. So, open that business, I guess. Let me
On
circle
that
back to
note,
what we were talking
follow
about.
your dreams.
Follow your dreams. Just please don't hurt anybody. Come on.
Yeah, okay, follow your dreams in a way that you're being conscious of how it will affect other people, you know?
There's no way to talk about this without being like, but if it was my plan to hurt people, what are you telling me I should go? Like, I don't know how to merge the two ideas necessarily.
Well,
Just,
personally, I'll interject my personal opinion
please do.
here. I think that, like, just live your life in a way that's empowering to you, but also you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. To me,
Mhm.
that's like being very successful and very conscientious and very, because here's the thing, if you do hurt someone else, you are hurting yourself.
I think
Because
so.
from the spiritual perspective, everyone being of the like mind, same consciousness, God is living through everyone, through you. You are God. Like, if you hurt someone else, you're just hurting yourself, a part of yourself that looks separate, but we're not separate.
We're all just drops in the ocean, y'all.
Why are
Or
you trying to
rid of the
hurt
biggest.
yourself? Baby
And
boo is not
baby boo.
helpful.
And that's on purpose. Like yesterday, I accidentally opened the door in the bathroom too fast and I hit my son with the door on his foot. And I gave
Oh.
him the oldest one, not the baby, but he got a little bruise. And I was like, oh. And it did hurt me, even though it was an accident. So I'm just saying, like, it will happen. You're going to hurt people. You're going to hurt feelings. You're going to break hearts. You're going to maybe physically run a door into your child. But it doesn't. It doesn't have to just be conscious of it and don't do anything on purpose. That's what I would say. Try not to do anything on purpose to hurt someone else and live your best life.
Yeah, and with the theme of this episode, like think of all the ways that you getting what you want can help people and benefit people, and maybe just do a little cross check to make sure you're not hurting anyone along the way. Because, like, this goes down to the classic example of like being a conscious consumer, right?
Mm.
Like, where are you getting your clothes from? Is it a fast fashion place where there are women in Taiwan in slave factories making your $2 tank top? Or, are you going to thrift shop to buy something that's possibly gently used? So it goes either way. I think it's just a great idea to think it through and entertain the possibilities. But I think a lot of times we do entertain the possibilities of why we shouldn't, but are you also entertaining the possibilities of why maybe you should?
I do buy fast fashion, but I also cut the plastic from the cans. See, to me, like the biggest thing for me is like the ocean. I want to be very conscious of, God, there's so much trash, Kelsey. Have you ever stopped to think about how much trash we throw away and never think about? And
It's
then
bad.
multiply that by 9 billion people on the planet? How have we not run out of space already? These poor ocean creatures and these landfills and all this stuff. That's what I think about. I'm just like, I mean, yes, sweatshops are horrible, horrible. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to tell myself that this one is probably fine, this jumper that I'm wearing, but it's probably not. Don't wreck my dreams, Kelsey, because I'm a
I'm
mom and
not
I don't have
wrecking
the
your
money.
dreams. Everyone has their own cause that they
Yeah,
feel more connected to, you
I
know?
just, there's a lot of horrific things. There's a lot of horrific things on the planet. So I think that everyone should have something, whether it's the environment, consumerism. I love that. I just think you should have something. If you don't have something that you're wondering about, microplastics in your body, think about that for a minute. Not to depress anyone, but there's so many things to have on your brain as a conscious person that you can maybe do one small thing a day to be better with. Um, yeah, and I think that's all it's about. Nobody can change the whole world, but everybody can do something to make it a better place. What are you
Word.
what are you writing?
Don't forget your grocery bags when you go to the grocery store, like I always
Yes.
do.
You forget them? I try to
I
keep them
always
in my
forget them.
car.
I keep buying them and I keep forgetting them. And I'm like, damn it, I forgot them again.
I try to keep them in my car. It's hard to remember.
Well, what I was writing was I was trying to capture a thought before it left, but I think it left. But hopefully it'll come back around. So what I first wrote and I was able to get down was, what other reasons do we want to talk about to kind of give permission to people to go for what they want and reasons why they should? Oh, okay. Here's one. Now that I asked the question, answer pops into my mind.
Boom.
Boom. You cannot unwant what you want, and you cannot unneed what you need. So it's
You could
actually,
try,
you
but
can
you fail.
try really hard, and people do. Trust me,
They really
especially
do.
in the self help community. I don't need anyone. I don't need anything. It's all within me. This is how I can heal. This makes me an island unto myself. And so I don't have to depend on anyone or anything. Anyone been there
Yeah.
before? So, classic example of trying to unwant or unneed things, which doesn't work. So, a more beneficial approach would be, you know, giving yourself permission to try and figure out how to get it in the most beneficial way and the fastest way and the most efficient way and the least manipulative way, in the most conscious way. How can you go for what you want, and how can you give yourself what you need? Because you can't undo those things, they will not go away. Desire is the universe's vehicle for expansion.
You're really bumming me out right now. I just want you to know that.
Why? What are you trying to unwant or unneed?
I want a girl so bad, but my husband is wanting more kids, Kels. And then I go
Okay,
back
but
and
okay,
forth.
so
Like,
let's dive into it. But why?
let me be clear. Some days I really, really want another baby, and a girl would be great, but I actually don't. I would just want baby toes in my life again because my 2-year-old is getting too big and it's time to start over. But my husband, and then some days I'm like, no, are you kidding me? I love sleep. Sleep is great. I don't want to be asleep. For 9 years, I've been worried about the baby. Got to get the baby, whether it's my oldest, middle, or youngest. Got to worry about the baby. We can't go on a trip because of the baby. We need a babysitter. Got to give him a nap. Got to make sure, it's all about the baby. And now I'm at a point where we're kind of going out of that phase. We don't have to worry about the baby. And I really want a baby. I'm not going to lie. My husband really doesn't. He's like, why do you want to keep starting over and resetting the clock? I want to go on a vacation sometime. I'm like, yeah, I do. I know I do too. I'm in his boat and I'm also in my boat. I got one leg in, one leg out, and I can't decide. But
Well, let's explore it live on air.
oh goodness.
Why do you want a baby girl? How do you think you'll feel differently when you have one? If you have
Well,
one.
I'm just somebody who God, this is gonna sound bad maybe. I'm just somebody who really loves to squeeze all the juice out of life. And it's really interesting and hard for me to grasp going all through my life and not having a boy and a girl. And I know that sounds super selfish. See, this is what the episode's about. I feel like it sounds selfish to say that because there are people who have 0 kids and there are people that can't have kids. And like who am I to want 3 boys and 1 girl? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me right now? I'm saying the things. I'm saying all the things, Kels. Um, I don't know. I think I'm already stressed out. I think I would be way more stressed out with a girl, but I also think that I would live a more colorful life. I'd be able to teach her things that my mom couldn't teach me. I'd be able to, maybe I just want to rewrite my childhood. I don't know. I kind of am doing that already with my boys, but
Mhm.
I already have
So
a
it
name
sounds
picked out.
like
I
you're
have an
looking
attachment to it.
for, yeah, it sounds like you're looking for color.
Hmm.
That was the one word that kind of stuck out of everything that you said is like your genuine desire in this scenario would be a colorful life, a life that's full,
Full spectrum, yes.
right?
Because
A
like,
life that's not excluding anything.
do you know how many socks surround me all the time? Boy socks. No pink socks. It would be nice to have some color, I think.
Right. But
Metaphorically
let's
and
slow it down.
really.
So, if you really take in the realization that what I'm truly after is color, and I have this fear of missing out and not experiencing everything, then just sitting with that and being with that for a moment, does anything come to you or do you have any realizations?
I just am always thinking that I'm gonna regret. I don't think I'm never gonna regret having a daughter. Ever. We'd never regret having a 4th child. But I think I would really regret not having a 4th child.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
why?
hard for me too.
Because why would it be bad if you don't have a fourth child?
It wouldn't. It wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad if I didn't, because my boys are amazing. I have like
But
the
a part
Jonas
of you thinks it
brothers.
would be bad. So just speak from that one part.
Part of me thinks that I would be missing out.
Right. So that would mean that you're missing out. This part of you believes if I don't have this fourth child, if I don't have a girl specifically, then that means that I'm missing out. And if I'm missing out, then that's bad because,
I'll have to come back and do it all over and try to have a girl in my next life.
and that would be bad because,
Take too long, Kels. It would take way too long.
and it's bad for things to take time because
I don't know.
this is good. When you get to the I don't know phase of the questioning, it's usually like a confusion that could lead to like a breakthrough. And you might realize, oh, it's actually not bad.
It's not bad. Like I really
Right.
do think it's not. It's just when we talk about, you know, things that you think when we talk about things that you don't want to miss out on or things that you might regret, like that's the first thing that pops up, like, oh,
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you can regret things that are out of your control.
true, but it's in my control.
But
I
it's not
have
entirely in your control because it's not only your life. It's also
true,
your husband's life.
True, I suppose.
You can't just control the whole everything about yours and his life because you guys are co-creating it together.
What are you, a marriage counselor? No, you're right.
Maybe.
You're right. And that's why like I am in his boat as well. I really am. Like I agree with him.
Well, here's the
I'm with
thing.
it.
I understand your desire for a girl, but you're just making it mean that you can't have this colorful, full experience without one. But what if you still could experience the colorful life experience that you're after in other ways that you do
Mhm.
have control over, that you can create?
Yeah.
That's going to be your avenue of direct manifestation in this case, is going for the genuine desire in different, creative, more empowering ways.
I'll just get a dog. It'll be
I
a girl.
mean, I think that could be one way to
And I'll
kind of
dress it up
help satiate the desire.
in pink dresses. I don't even like the color pink. Let me be real. I like it. It's fine, but I don't like certain colors of pink. But there's so many cute outfits at Target.
There are.
These girl moms have no idea how lucky they are. They get to dress their kids up as like strawberries. I saw
There
the
was
cutest little strawberry
You're
outfit.
reminding me of this story that my mom always tells me of this lady who was like her friend, but also our neighbor. And she only had two boys and she like always wanted a girl. And then it was my first day going to ballet class and I was all dressed up in my cute tutu and I was so little. I was like 3 years old when I started dancing ballet. And my mom was like taking me to ballet class, and the
Aw.
woman just started crying and she was like, I'll never have a girl. She's so cute.
Aw. That's so
I just
cute.
always remember that story because I
I
think it's
feel I feel
hilarious.
her pain for sure. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And
And I
well,
don't
here's the
know.
thing, you're just trying to avoid regret, which is like normal and natural. And I think, like, to a certain extent, like,
I
yeah,
agree.
don't set yourself up to be regretful when you're older. But at the same time, because it's a co-creation, there has to be like some give and take. But there are other ways for you to feel how you want to feel. So now it's just an opportunity to,
Kelsey doesn't
get
want me to have a
creative.
fourth baby because she really wants me to do a retreat very soon sometime. And I can't if I have a baby. I know that's what your motive
I don't think you can't if you have a baby.
is.
You think you can't because you have babies.
I mean, it's hard to want to do things when you have kids because I just miss them so much. They're so cute. I miss them. I'm gonna have to like take them along or something, which is so hard to do. Anyway, hashtag mom props. Moving on.
Moving on. That was a good example of, not really being able to unwant what you want. But there's always a creative solution in a third way if you are just open to the how. Because right now you're saying how my colorful life has to come to me is through a baby girl. But that's just a
Well,
condition.
I just said I want a baby girl because then I would be able to experience this, well, the spectrum of having a boy and a girl
Hmm.
and experience the boy experience and the girl experience. But as I'm saying it out loud, it might be silly because I was a girl, teenager, and I don't know if I want to deal with any of that. These are things I think about. There's so many pros and cons to all of it, really.
And who's to say you can't experience that through someone else's kid? Why does it have to be
It's not the
yours?
same, Kelsey. It's not the same. It's not the same as your own
I mean, I
kid.
know it's not the same, but I'm just saying look at the conditions you're
And isn't
placing
that
in front of how you want to feel.
isn't that the problem? It's not the same with any goal. Like if you try to figure out a different way to do it, oh, it's not the same. I feel like it's not going to be the same.
You're not receiving anything that I'm saying right now.
No, I am. I'm agreeing with you, girl. I'm agreeing with you.
No,
That's an
but
excuse.
did you hear the part where I said just look at the conditions that you might be placing in the way of feeling how you want to feel?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if I didn't, but like this is the only avenue that I would feel that way. Like I don't, how do I explain this?
But can you know that for sure?
I mean, no, but I am a mom. And so I know the difference between having a child and having something that's not a child.
Right,
It's like,
right.
it's, I don't know, it's interesting. But you could say that with anything. I know what it's like to not have $1 million versus having $1 million, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm following. I'm following. I'm just saying, stay open.
You are saying stay open, look at different perspectives to get what you want, which is exactly correct and wonderful. And for
And annoying.
now,
I can hear it in your tone.
it's not annoying. It's just I really don't feel, I don't know. I think today is one of the days where I'm like, it's not a big deal if I don't have a girl. But then I know I'm gonna have a day where it's like it is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's like moving past those days, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah,
My
that's hard.
husband's just,
I
if
mean,
he
this
would just
is
take me on vacation and make me forget that I want it, like, here's why we don't want another baby. Let's just go to Greece or something. So we can like reap the benefits of having only 3 kids and having them kind of growing out of that dependent baby phase, super dependent baby phase.
well, this is reminding me of like a personal example of me wanting to be a ballerina my whole life and training
Yeah,
in that my whole life because I wholeheartedly believed that that was the only way for me to feel how it made me feel. But
which
now,
is,
which was powerful, graceful, the star of the show, elegant, um, strong, all of these feelings that I felt when I would dance and perform. I was just like, ballet is the only way that can happen, and it's the only way I want to experience that happening. But now,
yeah,
as I grow older, I just realize there's so many different ways for me to access those realms. And I naturally am all of those things, and I don't have to do the dancing to feel the things. Because if you think of like even this podcast, it satiates a lot of those desires and needs
mm-hmm,
to be the star, to shine, to feel strong, to feel powerful, um, to entertain, you know? So it's just like there are ways, but not if you say it can only be this way. And the thing that helped me, honestly, was mourning that. Like
I was
it
gonna
was
say, like,
something
do
I
you,
wanted, it couldn't happen, and I still mourn it to this day.
yeah, that's
Like
what I was
I
gonna
will
ask, do you
still
still
have to
regret?
mourn it. It's not
Not
a
regret,
regret, but it's
no,
just like a sadness that it didn't come to fruition in that way that I
in that
wanted
way.
it to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still mourn it. I still get sad about it. You can ask my boyfriend, he'll attest to that. But it's not a regret for me.
Yeah. I think that's a better way to say that. It's not a regret because again, you can't regret things that you can't control. I like that you brought that to light. But it would be not even a mourning. It would just be like a oh darn poop. That didn't happen.
Better luck in the next lifetime.
Better luck next life.
Actually, that thought sometimes gives me a relaxation in the now
Yeah.
because sometimes I feel so much pressure from my anxious part to do it all now and get it all done and, experience everything. But then when
Mm-hmm.
I just slow it down and I'm like, I'm eternal, I'm never going away. I will
Yeah.
have so many chances to experience it all. It just helps me to relax.
Yeah,
I
you've
don't have
mentioned
to
that
go a
before
million miles a minute.
in another episode. I like that.
Hey there, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. But if you want to listen to the whole thing, we're going to invite you over to our podcast. Either search for High Vibing It on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to podcasts. Or even better, if you want to watch the extended video version of this episode that's even longer than the actual podcast itself, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/highvibe. Lindsay, tell them what's awesome about the Patreon.
Patreon is where we have all of our extended episodes. As Kelsey said, we have it on video so you can actually see the things that we're talking about. Sometimes we have visual visual aids and it's nice to know what we're talking about. We also have hangouts that we do sometimes that are exclusive to Patreon people. And you can get started with all of this and bonus content and everything that we have only for the Patreon people for as little as $3. I think it's $3.33 a month. And that's it. And you guys can get all the benefits and all access to everything that we put in there. Really
Yeah.
cool.
It's really cool, really fun, super easy to join. And you guys don't even have to do that to finish this episode. If you're like, screw it, I don't want to pay any money. I just want to hear the rest of this episode. go to our podcast, High Vibin' It, search for it wherever you listen. It's totally free. Either way, enjoy the rest of the show wherever you choose to enjoy it. And we will see you guys next week because we do a new one every week. Adios.
Bye.